Hello and welcome to Focus on CR, an in-depth look at the faculty, students, and staff of College of the Redwoods.
Welcome to Focus on CR, a show that explores what's happening with the students, the staff, and the faculty at the College of the Redwoods. My name is Ray Olson, and I am hosting today's show. And joining me today is Sible Godfrey, who is the Associated Students Senate member at the College of the Redwoods. Thanks for coming out here today, Sible.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, this is the first time I've ever met you. I don't know much about the Associated Students, so why don't we start with you? What brought you here to CR? What's your major? And, sort of what kind of classes are you taking here?
Well, I was originally from Southern California in the Tehachapi area, a small little town, and my sister came up to HSU, and I wanted to live closer to her and move out of my parents' house, and I thought it was a really pretty campus when I got to see it.
Had you been up here before?
Just a couple times visiting her, and I was like, this is the school I want to go to.
Was it the natural beauty?
A lot of the natural beauty. The buildings are really pretty, the trees are just gorgeous, and I just love the place.
Yeah, so when did you come up here to start school at CR?
It's about a year and a half ago.
So, you're here for a year and a half, and what was your major?
I'm a biology major.
Wow, what a great place to do that. Okay, so you're here for a year and a half. You decided to run for a student office.
Yes.
What sort of drove you or motivated you to do that?
Well, about a few months ago, last semester, I had just been at one of the many events that the college runs. It was a rummage sale, I think, and I met an ASCR member there, Maribeth Madsen, our student trustee, and she told me I should join and that they were just doing appointments at the time. So I went in as the role of VP of Records, and I really enjoyed it, and getting a chance to represent students and the duties of that role. So I decided I wanted to run for bit of a higher role, so right now I'm running for president and student trustee.
Oh, so you're running for another office right now?
Yes.
Okay, so getting back to where you are now, so were you actually elected into that position or appointed?
I was appointed by the previous Senate. Coming out of COVID, there wasn't a whole lot of knowledge about what the ACR was. When I joined, there was only about 3 members, and one of them was on leave of absence. So I was appointed to the role along with a couple other people that same day, and it's grown ever since, and we had a pretty decent election turnout.
So you mentioned ACR. What does that stand for?
It stands for the Associated Students of College of the Redwoods.
Okay, so you've been appointed in this position, and now you want to run for the president. Has that campaign began?
It began a little bit ago. The voting was over the last week. It actually just ended yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man! So
I think
you haven't heard the election, the
not
results
yet.
What did you do to campaign for it?
I did a lot of campaigning, mainly just to get people to vote, to be honest. I focused a little less on myself, just because I wanted people to know what the ASCR was, because I feel like not a lot of students really know about it. So it was a lot of showing people how to vote, showing that they can, and then usually ending that off being like, hey, by the way, you should also vote for me.
Why do you want to be the president? What is it you want to do once you're in there?
I really want to just try my best to lead the Senate and really market us to the students a bit more, get our name out there, because right now we work on a lot of thinking we know what students want and trying to represent, but students are such a wide variety of people with all sorts of things that I want them to be able to tell us what they want and how best to use the money that they're entrusting to us.
So if you end up being president, how are you going to gather that information from the students? Any ideas?
Well, I know I want to do a few more surveys, which are hit or miss, and a couple of events like that. I know Marty Coelho in the business office, or that works with the foundation, said that he could help the ACR with marketing next semester. So I want to contact more with him about that and see what avenues there are. Just a lot of stuff like that. Get some more posters out there that have our name on them.
So you collect all this information about what the student needs are, and which, as you admit, would be real diverse. And how are you going to translate that into actual action or your ideas?
We get a budget from the student activity fees that students pay every year, and we're kind of led to do whatever legally we can do with that. So we've been throwing a lot of events and things like that, buying merch to give away at these events, things like little pens and stuff like that. And I want to see just more of what people want to see, because events are certainly something easier for us to do. We've also been looking into things like scholarships, possibly resource requests, like helping the library get more computers and stuff like that.
So you're looking at beyond just, you're looking at other things you can do, like the computers.
Yeah.
Is there anything that, other than marketing, that is sort of near and dear to your heart that you think that isn't on the campus that you'd love to see here? that might be even kind of a pipe dream, you know?
Well, it's been working on a little this semester, but it hasn't quite reached its apex. But we've been working on a campus beautification project because there are a lot of students that are interested in showing who they are and being able to put that somewhere on campus. So we're trying to, in the process of getting some murals done by students on various parts of campus.
Any designs yet on the murals?
We have a few.
Yeah.
There's going to be one that we're hoping to get in the library in that hall that leads to the Multicultural Center that's supposed to just show the many different cultures of people that go to CR.
So to make the students here aware of a lot of multicultural diversity that exists in the student
And let
body.
some of the students show that themselves.
Now, do you see that? Do you see a lot of interesting
sure.
diversity on this campus?
I would say so, yeah.
What's your educational plans?
I'm going to be here for about another 2 to 3 semesters, and then after that I'm planning to try to transfer to UC Davis if I can.
You're in biology, which is really fascinating to me too. What kind of biology most interests you? The animals, the plants, the system? Like, what part really grabs you in that?
I feel like I always get interested in whatever I'm learning at the moment. To be honest, right now I am taking a botany class, which is getting a lot into plant and cell biology and stuff like that, and it's really been interesting me.
Yeah. What do you go out and translate that out into this incredible natural environment we have? Do you go out and look at plants and everything else?
I would say CR also just has a really good policy. A lot of teachers are getting more into, there's the Outdoor Campus Collaborative, which is monthly walks with students and faculty to look at our campus and the beautiful nature here. And my botany teacher especially has been really good at having a few trips just outside to look at the actual plants that we're talking about, a bit less just in the books.
Yeah, that is really beautiful about this campus.
For sure.
You have a pond here.
Oh, yes.
And a forest. Do you ever do any biology field work in the pond this year?
There was a BioBlitz just a couple weeks ago that was kind of multiple departments, and some classes were giving extra credit if you go to it. Yeah. But that was a lot of, if you ever heard of the app iNaturalist for trying to track biodiversity, it was just I think there was maybe 15 students and a bunch of faculty, and we were just going all around campus, including the pond, and just getting as much biodiversity tracked as.
What about you? So you're going to go on to UC Davis. What do you think? Do you see this area in your history at all?
I think so. I know I joined a program called Avenue M, which is supposed to help kind of future medical students that are in community college, and it talked a lot about how we're kind of in a really underserved community in terms of medical, which I could even see myself and stuff like that. So I think it is my dream if I can, go through the medical path line to one day come back and get to help serve the community that I've grown to really love up here.
Did you know you wanted to go into the medical profession way back then?
Yes.
Why? Was there some pivotal thing that occurred for you that, how did you come up to that realization?
Well, I always thought hospitals were really pretty, and I had a really good endocrinologist as a kid that I would say saved my life, and I was really inspired by them. And I always liked math and biology, so it kind of all tied together.
So being a member of Associated Students, can you tell me a little bit more? What does Associated Students do for the campus?
Well, our main goal, and I believe we do have a mission statement, but I don't quite remember it off the top of my head, but it's to just represent our students as best we can and to use the funding that we're given to help all students in any way that we can.
Can you tell me a little bit about the organizational structure of Associated Students?
Well, we do have to follow a lot of parliamentary procedures, things like Brown Act and Robert's Rules and stuff. So we have a lot of that. We do, roughly 2 to 4 meetings a month, and we actually are doing them at the boardroom in student services, which is pretty nice. We used to just do it in our little office in the dorms. But it's a lot of that, We all have our little positions that we do that have their effects.
What are elected positions in it? You said the president. Are there other elected positions?
All the positions are supposed to be elected, but when I joined, since there were so few people, they were just doing appointments from the 3 elected people that were there. We're appointing people to the Senate.
Oh, so normally your position would have been an elected one, but they appointed you out of need, out of necessity.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Why do you think it's worthwhile for a student to participate in Associated Students? How is it valuable to them?
Well, to them, I would say that it's a really nice thing to put on resumes and college applications, and I would say it really taught me a lot of leadership and communication skills. I think, before I joined it, I was kind of like, I don't know what this thing is. I don't really like talking to people or doing all that, and now having joined it, I feel a lot more confident in myself in those avenues. Getting to go around, you meet a lot of the administration of the school and kind of see how the school actually functions and a lot of that. You learn a lot of info that you can even help you in just your college career, and you could tell other people.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So the Associated Students does interact a lot with the faculty and staff,
Oh, yes.
administrators. Can you give me some details on how that actually works?
Well, like even just one of the nicer things that we've done, mainly this semester, is once a month we actually have a check-in meeting with the president of the school, and usually the vice president comes too, so Dr. Flamer and Krista Morse.
Okay.
And we get to bring up some of the student concerns that have worried us a lot, like wanting to bring EBT to the cafe as an option for some of our, students, things like that. The campus beautification project was something we originally kind of like put the idea out there, and we're told like, yeah, that's a good thing that you guys could do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. We just end up kind of like talking to them about a lot of things. So like we work with the records department at the school to get our flyers up and stuff like that. We work with the foundation when we're trying to look at whether we can do scholarships and things like that. You just end up talking to a lot of these people in these roles, and you learn a lot too, because it's kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Person who's been doing this job for a long time, how do I do this? And you just learn a lot doing that.
So those interactions you said have helped you become more better communication skills.
Oh, for sure.
With actually probably a different generation because they're older people.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. How so the Associated Students, you all meet as a group. Are you able to work collaboratively, or
sure.
how does that work out?
I would say we do. We meet in our regular meetings, which are a lot more specific and following a lot of procedure, and we vote on specific things and stuff like that. But even outside of that, we do have to work a lot on like any of the events that we plan to do. We got 4 or 5 of us there all working together, setting it up, talking and stuff like that.
What are some of the events you have coming up?
Well, we're kind of running to the end of the semester, but we've done a few events. I believe we're going to have a rummage sale coming up, which is going to be a lot of, we're going to provide some stuff and then like bring what you don't need, take what you need kind of thing, all for free. Generally, all the events we do are completely free for students to go to. We'll sometimes fund things. We work a lot with the clubs on campus. We're kind of like the boss of the club, so to speak, and we provide them with funding. So like the drag show that's being run by the QSU, we gave them like $1,000 to buy tickets for students that maybe couldn't afford them and things like that. We've helped with transportation from some of our satellite campuses to be able to attend that. We've also done like self-care nights and some of the like a bit like smaller events just to try to like, school's stressful, especially coming by finals, come take a small break, get a few snacks and things like that.
Have you seen students that have come into the AS that you've really seen them thrive and really sort of blossom in that role? Well, it seems like you have.
Thank you. I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see people that are kind of like me, join and they're like, I don't really know, I don't really want to talk, these meetings are kind of intense, and then they go from being like, I have my opinions and I want to represent students.
How many units are you carrying?
I'm taking, I believe, 13 right now.
So are you able to juggle the class load with sort of this extracurricular work you're doing?
I would say so, yeah.
How do you do that? How do you manage your time and to be able to do all that?
Sometimes I don't know, to be honest, but just a lot of being really focused. I go to the library. They have these really nice study halls that you can rent out, and just being like, this is my time for homework, and then after this I'll have a time for doing some extracurriculars, and then time for training for my work, and just a lot of that.
So for those students who don't have the time or the wherewithal to want to be on the Associated Students, how would you encourage them to interact with members of the AS to sort of get their interests and needs known? How would you encourage students to do that?
Well, I would certainly say we have some suggestion box set up throughout the campus if it's something that you want to write down necessarily. And we do get a decent turnout on those. It's usually about some really specific things like wanting to maybe change some of the utensils to be more sustainable at the cafe. We also do try to post our emails and stuff like that. We have like specific Senate emails like president@ascrsenate.org kind of thing.
Yeah.
We always encourage people like, hey, you can always email this to us. If you see us, we do have like shirts and we're trying to get some sweaters that say like ACR members at events. If you see us, you can always talk to us about it. That's how we've learned a lot of concerns, is just talking to people and people being like, hey, I really wish I could use my EBT at the cafe. And we're like, we need to bring that up. And then you can always attend a meeting too, to be honest. That's always really useful. We Zoom them and we have them usually at least one location that people can go to. There's always room for public comment, so anyone can comment whatever they want to say to us.
That's great to hear. Have you had students showing up to comment?
Sometimes, yeah.
You said you get a lot of good suggestions, huh?
I would say so, yeah.
Any that you want to share with you thought were particularly interesting suggestions?
Definitely think the EBT one was one of the most interesting ones. I'm really hoping that we can help the faculty to set that up so there are some more options for students to buy at the cafe. Other than that, I would say trying to strengthen CR's partnership with Arcata Housing, because that's a big concern a lot of students have. Is housing's very hard to get up here, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, just a lot of that, to be honest.
The off-campus, because this area is a little bit remote, especially for
pretty
those who
remote,
have a
yeah.
car. How would you encourage students to become really actively involved in how this campus is developing?
I would say there are a lot of, even not just the ACR, there are a lot of faculty-run committees. You can find them on the CR webpage. If you look up board docs, it shows all of them, and they'll say when their meetings are. And these are, I think, a lot of the committees and groups that really change how the school goes. They change curriculum, they change this and that. We change a lot of our own things. And I would say getting to attend or contact the people on those is probably the best way to really have your voice heard.
Great advice. And you know what? I'm sorry, that's about all we have time for today. And I just want to thank Sible Godfrey for coming out and spending time with us. And if you want to find any more information about what Sible talked about or Redwood Community College itself, you can find it online at redwood.edu. And thanks so much for joining me today, Sible. Very interesting information. And hey, we hope to see you next time on Focus on CR.